says caution. Heavy. They ain't lying.
Oh, yeah.
Braven. What do we have here? What do we have here, Braven?
Got a Yukon Gear and axle center section for the 4 9-inch. 4 10 gears. 31 spline axles. Yeah. I just read the brochure.
I don't know what to do with my hands. All right, so whenever you're building a race truck, something that you want to actually handle a lot of power, there's a checklist of things that you kind of have to check off, you know? First of all, you need an engine that's gonna handle a lot of power. Okay, working on that. Working on that, right? Okay, secondly, you're definitely gonna need a transmission that can handle all the power.
I'm working on that too.
We're working on that. So, with all that power that you're making, that thing's gonna be thirsty, boy. You most certainly are gonna want a very, very, very capable fuel system.
Yeah, we're also working on that.
You're working on that?
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Yeah. Okay. What else? Oh, coolant. There's a radiator.
Yeah, and water pump.
Oh yeah, pump. Okay. Hell yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, dude, you're making progress here. Okay, so there's at least one thing that could be checked off the list, right? So this right here is a Chevy Colorado, and it's got Ford. Hang on a second. It's got Ford suspension on it on the front. No, this is a Chevy Colorado, right?
It's a Chevy Colorado, yeah.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you what, man. All those Fords in the junkyard, you gotta do something with all them parts, man. So he's also got a Ford 9-inch on the back. But the problem is, another one of those things, kind of need to check off the list. You need a rear end that's gonna handle the power, because you'll grenade that shit real quick. It'll sound like a freaking jar full of marbles, you know? I've been there. Actually, I think you've been there before too, huh?
Yeah,
we've all been there once or twice.
Really quick.
Yeah, so yeah, this guy, there's a big problem with it. It's missing something in the center. Some people actually call it a center section.
It may be a center section or a third member. What? Third member, same thing. What?
Is that what it's called?
A third member, yeah.
Oh, I've never heard of that. I'm not a Ford 9-inch kind of guy, I guess. Yeah, I got 4 to 8/8s.
Yeah. Me too. I had those before, and then I moved up in the world. You know what I mean?
Moved up? What are you trying to say? What's wrong with my 8/8? You know what? I bet you Yukon Gear probably got something to make my 8/8 handle just as much power as your 9.
100%. Yes.
Because you got that little 0.2.
0.2. Yeah, but I could also unbolt my gear ratio and bolt in a different one on the side of the track. Can't necessarily.
But that sounds dumb.
You can't do that.
Who wants to do that?
You can't do that with the 8/8.
But who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. Anyhow, a very important piece to the puzzle of this small tire, no prep, whatever it is Braven ends up doing with the Colorado over here.
Show truck.
Yeah, show truck. So he is going to end up making quite a bit of power on this truck. Well, that's the goal anyway. It's going to make quite a bit of power. Shooting for over 1,000, but somewhere between 1,000 and 500. I know that's a broad range. I know that's...
1,000, 1,500.
1,000 to 1,500, yeah.
You said 500. I'm like, whoa, I'm not going back down.
Inside of that range where it's 12, 13, 1,499, whatever. He needs a rear diff that's going to actually handle that power. And of course, Braven got in contact with the ladies and gentlemen over at Yukon Gear, and they most certainly had something that will handle that kind of power.
100% handle that power all day long.
Go ahead, open this bad boy up. I'm excited to see it. I haven't even seen it yet. Actually, Braven hasn't even seen it yet.
It's too heavy. It's too heavy just to take out and put back in.
But heavy, yes, but not as heavy as it could be, right?
Right, 100%. Yeah. So this is technically a lighter weight model, but at the same time, it's still heavy. It's not light. You know what I mean?
What'd you do that for? Should we just roll the box or what?
Gear oil.
It's leaking already?
It's leaking.
I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, look at that big old hunk of steel in there. Dang, sucker. That thing looks shiny in there. Anything else? Is there a sticker in there? Dude, if there's a sticker in there, I'm keeping it.
Nope, no stickers in here.
No stickers?
This is my warranty sheet. I didn't keep this.
I'm disappointed in the lack of stickers. I'm just saying. Yay! Bro, watch out for the real race car. Good lord.
Street car.
Street race car. Oh, yep, you got a zip tie there, bud. Definitely a zip tie. A zip tie right there. You gotta cut that zip tie right there. Alright, good job. What the hell? Dude, this is the biggest Ziploc bag I've ever seen in my life.
It's a solid Ziploc bag.
Does Hughes even have Ziploc bags like that?
No, we don't.
You guys don't have giant... Dude, huge. Come on now, you need to take this with you to work and show it to them. Like, we need to get ginormous Ziploc bags like
What the hell are we gonna use them for?
I don't know, but that's a giant Ziploc bag. Dude, we're not throwing this away. We gotta keep that.
You're gonna keep that.
For something.
For what?
I can put my intake manifold in there if I needed to. I mean, good, look at that. Ooh.
Gear oil.
Another one? We literally got 2 of the world's largest Ziploc bags. Do we need to get something to set this thing on? Pretty lubed up in there.
Should we grab that foam out of there?
Yeah, I'll go get it. You toss it across the yard. It looks a little bit different from my mini spool.
Yeah, it's a billet grizzly locker.
Good freaking Lord. Okay, tell me again what it is we're looking at here.
Okay, so what we're looking at is, this is basically a, like we said before, it's a third member for a Ford 9-inch. This does accept 31 spline axles, but of course they do a wide variety of different, for different different applications, you know what I mean? This one does have a grizzly locker, which is a billet assembly, instead of like, off the shelf like mini spools and stuff like that.
Who the hell are you coming for?
The old $50 mini spools off Amazon.
Hey, mine was $75, buddy. Okay, I got the upgrade. And it might not be as shiny, but it's working, okay?
It does work. It does work. But this works even better. And so this is a 411 gear ratio, so I decided with 411 because I'm going to be focusing mostly on 8th mile racing. So that's kind of why it is that I went the route that I went. But this thing is supposed to be able to handle all the beans. You know what I mean? Everything that we want to put to this thing will be able to handle it. So we're going to go ahead and cut the clip to the last time I stepped my axles.
Again? I think we're probably gonna use that clip 2 or 3 times in the video. Oh, ooh, both axles.
And make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah. So. And being a Ford 9-inch, you don't have the C-clips.
Yeah, it's an automatic C-clip eliminator. So
it doesn't even come with C-clips.
Exactly.
Yeah. So your axles actually bolt on the end right here. So his axles bolt on over here, which is it's a lot safer. Right. Than running the C-clips, right. And like my 8.8, I need to do the C-clip eliminator someday, but I'm just waiting to make enough power to actually break it. Well, or come on, you dumped your clutch on top of very good prep. Oh, I think you set that a little too hard, bud. Oh, damn. You guys did it too good, bro? No.
That has nothing to do with
very good prep.
That has nothing to do with me.
It was brake traction or brake parts, buddy, and you did not brake traction.
That's not brake traction. So we also have this over here from Yukon Gear as well. This is actually the yoke. This will bolt onto the rear of the output shaft there.
Oh, okay.
And that.
Nice.
And it also matches all my pot of gold.
The hell? You and all your zinc coated parts. That does look really nice though. That's gonna go with the truck really well. I mean the color, of course. Oh, there is a sticker!
Mine.
Give it a sticker!
No, it's mine.
You bitch of a son. Huge shout out to Yukon Gear for sending this out for Braven. Most certainly is going to be exactly what he needs to be able to handle all the power he plans on putting through this chassis. I'm going to have a link in the description down below to Yukon Gear where you can find all of their products. If you guys are needing something to handle the power, if you're needing something to not end up like Braven and his broken axles. Here you go, guys. We're going to be installing this on the Colorado later on in this video. For now, Braven's got a bunch of assembly he's got to do on the front of this thing. So we're going to get moving on with that, and we'll catch back up with this guy later. What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, man. So it is time for another update on the old Colorado. We made a lot of progress. Braven's made a lot of progress. We got all the paint and everything all done on this thing. Got a bunch of zinc coated bolts and everything to assemble this thing all back together. Moving on, Braven's gonna be putting the brakes on today. He's got the front and rear that he needs to assemble onto here.
Everything's a lot more work whenever you try not to scratch things.
Yeah, whenever you put paint on everything, you try to keep it looking nice. It's a little tedious as far as assembly at that point. And then probably 5 years from now, it ain't gonna be like that. He's just gonna be throwing parts on and off and whatever. Right. All right, well, I'm gonna hand you guys over to Braven. He's got the brakes that he's gonna be assembling onto here. He's probably gonna explain to you exactly what it is he's using and whatnot. So here we go.
This here is not the factory outer tie rod in for the Chevy Colorado. This is actually from a 2015 Silverado, but it's a lot beefier. It does have a longer shaft on it that does cover more of the threads. To get the whole front end together, I didn't do the modification to it, but this does need to be cut. It does have to cut so that it can pull this in enough. This is basically the modification. This is the upgrade, so I don't have to worry about these snapping because they were really small. All the brake assembly and all that kind of stuff is all for the 2011 Crown Vic. Of course, we wanted to go ahead and run the 5-lug in the front as well because the rear is actually a 5-lug. That's why we ended up going over to the Crown Vic front suspension. Now, we would really like to run some matching wheels on this truck, so the 5-lug is definitely going to be the move. Now for the part I've been excited for, and that's to actually get the front brakes and everything all assembled onto this thing. So I don't have the suspension I actually want to install onto the truck as of right now. These are just going to be temporary. We're going to go ahead and throw the max speed rod coilovers that we had in there prior back into the suspension here so I could actually have this thing rolling. Alright, just go ahead and finish up this side now. Alright, so we got all the front suspension all bolted up together. So now we basically just need to move on to the rear.
Front brakes are complete. Moving on. Yeah, so Braven has an entire set here of Speedway brakes. This is an entire kit to put brakes on your Ford 9-inch rear end, in which he is very patiently going over all the instructions.
Yeah, I gave up like on step 1. So much reading.
I thought step 1 was disconnect the battery.
Yeah, it was something weird like that.
Anyhow, these are some big ass axles. These things are serious. I don't think Braven's gonna have a problem snapping these boys off. First thing, got to get the brakes on here. So those go behind the axle, or?
So first thing, we need to put the center section in.
Oh, Yukon goes in first?
Yeah, third member.
That's exciting.
Yep.
I've been dying to slide that thing in there. Okay, so do we need a gasket or RTV? Have you looked that up yet? Because there's clearly no gasket. Are we supposed to RTV this?
A little bit of research needs to be done.
Yeah. This is our first 9-inch, okay? So, yeah.
What the?
Come on, dog. Jesus Christ. This is our first Ford 9-inch that we've done. We need to figure out whether this is supposed to have a gasket in between it or RTV. I'd assume RTV.
Yeah, I would assume so too. But
let's go look it up really quick on the old Google machine, and then if we got to RTV it. Moving on to the RTV. All right, man, we ran into a problem. It's a stupid problem, a really dumb problem to have, but it is most certainly a problem nonetheless. We don't have any nuts. We have no freaking nuts to actually bolt the center section on, or the third member, whatever you want to call it. So Braven's gonna run to the auto parts store and go and grab some nuts really quick. While he's doing that, you guys are just gonna hang out with me. We need to press in some studs into his axles. We've got a set of extended studs here that we can press in, and I need to figure out, because these do have 2 different lug patterns on them, I need to figure out which lug pattern, because we are going to be he's going to be running his truck 5x114, so this should have 5x114 and 5x120 or 5x4.75, basically an S10 bolt pattern. If you guys didn't know, Braven actually bought this Ford 9-inch rear housing second hand. He bought it from a local guy who was selling it for a pretty damn good deal. It was previously on an S10. So what I'm gonna do is actually crack open one of his rotors, because the rotors that he got are the lug pattern that he's running with. And I'm gonna check the lug pattern on the rotor and line it up with the axle to make sure I get the right one, because they don't have it necessarily labeled, you know? All right, I figured out which one is our correct lug pattern. I'm gonna use a paint marker and actually circle the holes that we gotta press our damn studs into so I don't get it wrong. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're all lining up there. Okay, so I've learned really quick that pressing the studs into the 9-inch axles is going to be a lot different than doing my 8/8 axles, because you have all of this, and all of this doesn't fit in between here on my press. So I don't know, we're gonna figure something out. All right, I have all 5 of them tapped into place. Hopefully they don't fall out on us, even though they're already trying to fall out on me. It wasn't on the nut rack?
Yeah, it was on a little nut rack they had. So then I was like, I asked my buddy that, which I was like, hey.
I figured it'd be on the spinning nut rack.
That's what I thought too. But
that's where all the nuts and bolts are always at. It was on the spinning nut rack.
Well, so then he came out there and helped me look, and he pulled one off, and it was empty. So I popped it open and took them.
Oh, okay.
Of this exact fucking thread and nut. I'm like, really? The one that I needed? Yeah. So then he was just like, no one has them. He's like, well, it shows I have 4 of them in stock. And then he looks underneath this little cardboard box, and he's like, oh, there's one. And he pops it out, and I read it. It says quantity 5, and there's 4 in here.
Really?
Yes.
It's supposed to be 5?
It's supposed to be 5 in there. I only got 4.
Did he give you a discount?
Oh, he gave me a discount for sure.
The hell? Well, I got one of your freaking axles done.
Nice.
I gotta say, these are a pain in the ass to get this in there with all this going on versus doing my 8/8 axles, but
right,
they're freaking on there.
Oh, it's solid.
Hopefully it's okay that they're already on there. Can you imagine? You're like, oh crap, I needed to do this before the studs went. Good lord, bro. Anyhow, I got one whole other one to do, but are you ready to start putting that in now? Mm-hmm. So he only had they only had 4 bolts, like you just heard.
I forgot to get that.
4 nuts. So he's gonna run down to Phoenix Nut and Bolt on Monday whenever he goes back to work and just grab a whole set. These are gonna be temporary, so we can get the thing sat up in there, because we need to slide the axles in and all that stuff and get the brakes all mounted on. And then yeah, you just switch these guys out one at a time and just put all the nuts on there. All right, so the center section came from Yukon Gear ready to throw in. Everything's already been torqued. The lash, is that what, you know, like all that stuff is done. It's all assembled. It's ready to slap in there. It's got some lubricant all over it, in which we need to clean some of it off. We gotta get the mating surface all cleaned up. So we're gonna use a little bit of acetone on a rag, get rid of all the greasiness that's on the mating surface right here. We got to RTV that back. Actually, you should probably RTV that, because you see how this is larger.
Right.
So you want to know exactly like how doing it here. You might do way too much on the inside where it's not needed. But yeah, we're gonna spread the RTV on the actual housing and get this all cleaned up. I like to think that whenever you're applying RTV on something like this that you don't want to leak, you treat it kind of as if you were prepping for paint. You know, you want your primer, you want your paint to stick to the surface, so you make sure it's good and clean. I do the same thing whenever you have to RTV something. It's just make sure the surface is good and clean, and then put your RTV on, and mating surfaces are cleaned up in RTV. Now this is gonna be the last time you guys see this for a while. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
What do you call a woman who only has one leg?
Recording.
Eileen.
Dude, that thing really does look pretty damn beautiful in there. I mean, tough, man. It looks freaking tough. Anyhow, the bolts that came with this kit here for the brake kit from Speedway, they're supposed to have sent a T-bolt, is what it is called. So basically, these bolts not having a hex head like that, it's supposed to have a T. There's absolutely no T-bolts inside of this kit. We're looking at this, and well, this doesn't really show you exactly what it is you need to see, the instructions, but then we were watching a video of some people using it on YouTube, and they're explaining T-bolt, and they mentioned this damn T-bolt like 15 freaking times, and guess what? We don't have any T-bolts, and the reason why is we gotta bolt all of this stuff together, all right? And it goes into the axle housing. But if you look right here, there's not enough room to put a nut on there. Like, the threads of this bolt is completely against the housing. So what we're gonna have to do is actually make our own T-bolts out of the bolts they supplied, and we're gonna have to knock the a section of the head off and flatten a side of this, and then we're gonna have to put the bolts in from the inside out and put the nut on this side, because there's no way we'll be able to put a nut on there at all. So, and unfortunately the kit did not come with the T-bolts that's supposed to freaking come with, man. What the hell, Speedway? What the hell? You can't rely on Speedway for T-bolts or to ship you a cam.
Oh my god.
You know, just don't order cams from Speedway or expect T-bolts to come in a kit that requires T-bolts. Anyhow, yeah, now we have 8 bolts that we got to grind and knock the heads off. I was kind of excited. We didn't pull a grinder out once today, you know? We didn't get the little fiery, hot lava shreds of shrapnel all over the damn place a single time. Better put the acetone away in the acetone rag. Now we take our custom-made T-bolt over here, and we can actually slide that guy in there, and it fits. It's got to go through the bracket. It's got to go through the retainer. Bang, just like that. And as you can see, now we are actually clearing the housing so the bolt can sit flush. And we can only go this direction because you can't knock that much off of the nut, you know, so. And that's what we're left with having to do. These guys are not going to work. We're going to have to take those out of there. Damn, boy! Not only if you had wheels, this thing would actually be able to sit on the ground and be a roller again.
Well, we got the wheels that we took off the Mustang.
Yeah,
so technically, I think will work.
I do not think they're gonna work on the back.
The back spacing, you don't think so?
No, your back spacing is like crazy right here.
Well, we'll try.
Yeah, we could try. Those have been on the side of the house for a fat minute. There's probably a lot of spiders living inside of them.
We could try. You want me to grab one real quick? You see?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, realistically, we'll probably get another 1/4 inch of back spacing with the brakes and everything, right?
Well, I mean, I guess we could just stack washers since it is just temporary rollers. I'm grabbing a freaking rotor out. Not everybody can be baller like me and have slotted and drilled rotors, you know? Not everybody, you know? Frigole. Yeah, I think that hub-centric ring is gonna have to come off of there, buddy. These hub-centric rings were on here whenever Braven got the rear end. Come off of there, buddy. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Moment of truth there, Mustang boy. Dude, these are not gonna fit. So the thing is, he sold the drag pack that was on the truck because he is switching lug patterns. Yeah, you're against the frame, buddy. You can run a spacer. We have spacers in there.
Oh no, man, that's gonna be a really fat spacer.
Oh, is it that far away from? Oh yeah. Yep, that ain't gonna work. That ain't it, buddy.
And plus, it don't even look right on this.
Yeah, you're gonna have to run a freaking crazy offset.
Let's try it on the front.
I don't think that's gonna clear the brakes. Oh, maybe.
No, that's not gonna roll.
Yeah, that doesn't fit either. Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to run 17 skinnies in the front. 17-inch skinnies in the front. You'll clear a 15 in the. Well, actually, we haven't put the caliper on yet.
No, it'll definitely clear 15. It says in the description.
Okay.
So I made sure of that.
Good Lord, man, this thing is that much closer to being done. I mean, I'm excited about it because then it'll be out of my damn way, so I can actually do some work up here. I'm kidding though. Braven's been going really hard on trying to get this truck done. As you can tell, the thing looks freaking amazing. So one step closer. We got all the brakes and everything done last night. Now he needs to get a set of wheels for it. Like I mentioned earlier, he sold the drag pack that he had on here because it was 6 lug, you know? Now he converted over to 5 lug. He's gonna have to get a 5x114.3 millimeter drag pack for this thing. Anyhow, guys, up next for the Colorado, I'm gonna be getting the cab itself inside of the spray booth. All the texture that we did on the firewall and everything, the bed liner. We gotta get all that prepped up and ready for paint because it's not gonna stay black. We gotta spray it back to white. But anyhow, that's it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Once again, huge shout out to Yukon Gear. I appreciate them doing business with us. Definitely a very reputable company, and they definitely have a very strong product. If you want to check out their products, I'll have a link in the description down below. Of course, for you guys to go and see what it is that they have that you could potentially use on your race cars, or they do like 4x4 off-road type stuff as well. Like anything that you need to be able to actually beef up your rear end, you know? So anyhow, guys, like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. Peace, and we'll see you on the next one.